Hello there, gang, and welcome to a special episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, where I'm going back to dance with who brung me. I'm doing an action figure review. I know I haven't done these in ages, but I have this not Revoltech agent-anti-venom that was sent to me, and I thought this actually deserves a little video, because I'm genuinely surprised at the quality that comes with this bad boy, because I have recently had my encounters with knockoff products, but this is something a little bit different. I'm genuinely surprised at how much bang you get for your buck. I'm sure Revoltech don't like hearing these things. Like, what? The cheaper knockoff version is pretty good? Yeah, it is. You want to hear about it? Here it goes. So here is CT Toys Agent-Anti-Venom. I'm going to call it CT Toys. That's the main logo on the box besides, you know, the Revoltech one. And then, of course, out of the packaging, we've got this great looking Agent-Anti-Venom. I'm so surprised at what we've got with the quality here. So let's take a closer look at it. First of all, the box itself is very nice, done in the same Revoltech style that we've come to expect. The artwork on the front and back are taken directly from, I think, the not Maximum Carnage, Absolute Carnage storyline, where Flash Thompson comes back as Agent Anti-Venom, only to get promptly killed off before he's inevitably resurrected in the King in Black storyline. Just had to get my Venom storyline straight there. But that's enough about the history. Let's look at the figure itself. And you can see that like, the proof is in the picture right here. But they can be deceiving too. Knockoffs can look far from good, but good from far. Or scratch that, reverse it. You know what I'm saying. Good from far, but far from good. For something that might not be made with the most classic kind of factory standards, I don't know where knockoffs are made, but I imagine it's not quite as high-end as your Revoltex and your Mafex's factories, but everything here fits really well. Every little joint and piece and accessory plugs into where it's supposed to be with just enough resistance for you to know that it's going to fit without you having to really jimmy it. And there's nothing that's so loose that it's going to just fall out of place, which is more than I can say for some mainstream figures. Occasionally you'll get things like SH Figure Arts or other high-end company figures that can barely hold their accessories. I'm looking at you, Guts from Berserk. Yes, I'm still salty about that. One of the most important things is, of course, the stiffness of the joints. You've got to have that kind of security in the joint so he can stand up and he's not just flopping up and down like a marionette. This, I wouldn't say is buttery smooth, but it feels good. It feels like it's built to last. And that's so surprising. I was totally thinking he was just going to be some flippy floppy thing when I got him out of the box, but he holds together nicely. And then, speaking of holding together, he does have things that fall off, like his holsters and whatnot, but I think that's actually adding to the Revoltech authenticity, that bits fall off all over the place, because that's always going to be something with the Revoltech style, is they just have these accessories that are held in with small pegs, and as long as you push it in nice and tight, he'll pose perfectly well. But if you're manhandling him like a clumsy child, as I am oft to do, then things might start falling off. Having said that, though, these tendrils, they're stiff. Man, they're really stiff, and they're beautifully articulated with 1, 2, 3 articulation points. So you can really have them coming all the way inside of the figure, or you can have them sprawling out wide. If you do, you're going to need a lot of space to actually display this guy. The texture of the plastic is what I find really interesting. Yeah, because I'm a grown man who finds the texture of plastic interesting. I'm a great first date. I should put that on Tinder. Likes the texture of plastic. Oh, actually, that would be a very specific kink, wouldn't it? Anyway, I digress. It feels like a little bit kind of rubbery to the touch, which isn't a bad thing, because I got this absolute piece of garbage not Revoltech Agent Venom off of Temu, and that was it just felt like brittle just crap. It was awful, straight in the bin. But this feels like it's got staying power to it. This feels like it's gonna survive the test of time. And you can see from his pose with his tendrils coming out here, he actually holds his position really, really well, because that's the main thing with knockoff figures, is that they're very loosey-goosey. Things tend to just drop off and you can't hold arms up and the legs don't support them. This This dude can hold his own weight, and that's a big thumbs up right there. Revoltech figures are always a little bit funny the way that their joints tessellate and slide in and out of place. It's a little bit like a Rubik's Cube, but that is the Revoltech style, which is what this company seems to be mirroring so well. And of course, something else that is in line with the Revoltech style is that accessories can pop off and fall off a little bit easily, which I think is just a slavish attention to detail by these guys. They're like, oh, if we're going to mimic Revoltech, we're going to do it right, so bits and pieces can fall off. But that's more of a posing option, because you can have the holsters with the guns on there or not. Plus, the little guns, you have like half a gun that goes into the holster, so it just makes ease of use a little bit better. When I was first unboxing this guy, I was like, wait a minute, what are these half guns? Do they snap onto the other gun to make a bigger gun? No, they're just for the holsters. Makes a lot more sense. Then while we're talking about guns, the grenade launcher looks good. It's all just one piece of molded plastic. There's no paint or extra details on there. Obviously, some gunmetal kind of paint would be quite nice. If you're a customizer, you could always whack a bit of dry brushing on there if you wanted to. But it certainly does the job nicely, and his hands grip the gun well. The blast effects for the guns are great. They just fit over the entire front muzzle of the gun, so it's not like a little pin that goes into the barrel, it just covers the whole front of it. And it works really well. Just like a Revoltech figure, a whole bunch of extra hands. Although when you look at some of them, you can see the difference of the quality between a legitimate Revoltech and something that's an imitation. The quality of the molding isn't as sharp as you would get from a legit product. The fingers, in some cases, feel a little bit kind of close together. Like, it's not as pristine. It's like watching something in 4K and then regular television. I think that's a pretty fair comparison. But again, it does the job for the price point that you're paying. And then I said I was going to go head to toe, and instead we're jumping about all over the place, as I am off to do. But let's talk about the eyes. While we're talking about accessories, the eyes have it. The different eyes are nice to have, but in no way essential. You can swap about the looks, of course, and maybe for photography if you want to play about with things, that's kind of fun. But really, anything besides the jet black full lenses just looks like a gimmick, and to my eye, I see it and go, yeah, but that's not what it should be. You know what I mean? Going down the body, the Revoltech style of articulation is a funny one, and you might like it, you might not. He's got these whole separate shoulder blades that rotate individually on their own, and it's a way of doing articulation, I guess. It's not a butterfly joint, it's just its own thing. I don't mind it, it gets the job done. Of course, depending on how you pose him, you do get the huge big dumbbell joints exposed, which I'm not a big fan of, but once again, it's the Revoltech style. What I do think works really well, though, for this particular figure is the fact that he's wearing this symbiote armor. So it kind of works and makes sense the way that armor pieces will slide over one another. It actually fits the design of the character really well. And speaking of the design, the actual symbiote spider in the middle, oof, oh, they've done a good job with this. It's crisp. The paintwork is real crisp. There's no blurring that I can see. No, I take that back. It's a little bit of blurring, but only if you get out your binoculars can you really see it. If he's on a flight stand, everything else going on there, you can get around it. But there's a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of paint bleeding around the edge of some of the legs. But again, for the price and the knockoff quality, it ain't too bad. It might not be easy to see with this camera and the lighting and the setup, but the pearlescent kind of shading on his armor pieces, mwah, chef's kiss. Really pretty. As we go down, the pockets and the pouches, they've all got lovely little bits of detail on there with the satchels and the clasps, and of course the silver as well. Little silver accents on the belt and the buckles going around the thighs. They just make him feel more detailed, more alive. I do dig it. We've also got this alternate head as well, which I don't think mirrors any image he had from the comics. I don't think he's had this look before, but hey, they're having fun with their accessories. Kind of like the different eyes. It's a fun option to have. It's always nice to have different options, but I don't think it's essential. I don't think I would want to pose him like this because I want to go for classic Agent Anti-Venom right here. And this absolutely is that. So as for articulation in itself, I mentioned the weird shoulder joints, which the Revoltech figures always have. The rest of the torso, though, great upper torso dumbbell swivel here, and with the hips as well. You've got the good range of motion with the belt kind of covering the waist, so he doesn't have that McFarlane diaper kind of look. The legs at the hips are always going to be a little bit funny to move because, again, it's these weird, these oddly weird but kind of fun Revoltech joints where they cut into the hips and you got to sort of angle it around just the right way. But when you do, you can get the poses that you want to have. I would love just a normal basic thigh cut, especially with characters that have a thigh belt. It's like, that's just screaming out for a thigh cut there, but it's all right. And then another Revoltech style is having the articulation in the belt. So you can move the belt to accommodate where you might be moving his hips to, and then readjust it when you've got him posed. Then going further down, I mentioned the lovely pearlescence and the beetle armor texture. The shin guards have all that. They look lovely. A little bit of toe articulation too, so you can put him in more kind of dynamic, believable running poses. I gotta say, I'm very impressed. So impressed, so I think it's time we gave this guy a grade. So for the not Revoltech knockoff agent-anti-venom, I'm going to give this guy 4 out of 5 stars. I did not think that I would give a knockoff product such a high score, but for the price point and what seems to be a surprisingly high level of quality, I think he deserves all 4 of those. It's a real surprise. And folks, that does it for this review of Agent-Anti-Venom. What do you think about knockoff products? There's a whole bunch of hubbub about CT Toys at the moment. They're doing not Mafex products, and I guess ultimately, morally, I should put my hand up and say, no, knockoffs are bad. If a YouTube channel suddenly sprung up called Daniel's Model Behavior, I'd be like, Chotomate kudasai, what is this? But while we're dealing with action figures that cost so much money anyway, if we can fill in a few gaps in our collection for a few pennies less, it's hard to say no. It really is. But I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And actually, to be fair, comment below. Let me know your take on knockoffs. Pro or con, I'm interested to hear them. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.